Being able to actually walk away from a 9 to 5 is an amazing accomplishment in itself. Do you mind actually walking through, like, what were a few of the main challenges that you actually had to overcome to build the portfolio to this double-digit sort of scale?
Yeah, absolutely, Todd. I guess I was making some of the same mistakes that a lot of people make and that I see a lot of people make these days. And that is, quite often people don't get past 1 or 2 properties because they either buy the wrong property in the wrong location or they have the wrong financial structure in place. And what I was doing at first was sort of had 3 or 4 loans tied up with the one bank, and they might have been cross-securitized. And so finances were a bit of a struggle there. So I had to really look to get better financial advice around moving forward. But the big kicker, and the thing that stops a lot of people, is that you're going and buying these properties and they're negatively geared, because that's kind of the Australian way. But there's only so many properties you can have negatively geared that you've got to put money in for every week out of your pay before the banks won't lend you any more money. So I had to sort of work out how I was going to actually build a large portfolio and start to achieve my goals. And that really did mean having some positive cash flow properties, those ones that would be a good cash flow injection into the portfolio there, and that would also be creating equity. So the first few properties, while they were good properties, and after quite a while they did get some good growth in Sydney, I had to also shift my mindset to realise that I had to buy properties outside of Sydney in some regional centres that were in some ways cheaper, but also just had that that better cash flow. So potentially lower growth, but higher cash flow, so that I could get better serviceability to keep moving forward. So certainly, juggling those finances was a bit of a thing moving forward, and then having a good understanding of the need to use different banks, and not just the main banks, but also the non-bank lenders are really important, and that's something that I sort of developed over the years to realise how I could actually structure things properly.
What I'm hearing there is really get the financial structure right, and also make sure that you don't get too precious around the asset selection of, like, okay, you might need to get something that maybe isn't as desirable for that capital growth side of things, but if it offsets and allows you to actually purchase more because of the yield, that could be that kind of that missing piece to the puzzle. Is that about right?
Well, that's correct. And the other thing to do too also is that if you're buying
If you want to listen to the rest of that interview, simply subscribe to the Pizza and Property Podcast on Google Play, iTunes, or Spotify, anywhere you can find us, and make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel below, and have an amazing week.